Hi, I'm Dasha. I'm a co-founder of Why We Read, and in honor of the National Reading Year, we are collecting stories around one simple question: Why do you read? And today we have Tammy. Tammy, hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what you do?
Yeah, so I spent over 34 years in education. I started as a teacher on a lot of different levels, and then I retired as an elementary principal. And after I retired, I still felt like I needed to connect with students, so I subbed for a little while. And then I told the class one day, I just feel like I want to write a book. Do you have any ideas for me? And after class, a young boy stayed after and he said, I want you to write this book about a boy that has asthma and he gets bullied. But by the end of the story, I want there to be some type of a celebration. And I'm not going to tell you more about that because that's the ending of the book, but I honored his wishes. And so I ended up writing a book called Passing Notes. And it's about handling bullying in a different way instead of retaliating or being angry. He used kindness, and um, that's how he handled it.
That's such a beautiful message. I read the book, so I know how it ends, and it was fantastic. I know it's targeted for ages 8 to 12, but I feel like
Yeah,
that everybody should read it, no matter what your age, especially if you are starting out and you're not reading too much. I feel like it's a great introduction book because it goes by fast, and it has some great lessons in life, in my opinion.
I agree. And that was the point of it too. It's just like
Hmm.
have a fun story, but have lessons in there so adults can actually have conversations with children that are hard, but they can have them through story.
And all right, I have a first official question for you.
Okay.
When did reading first become part of your life? When were you introduced into reading?
I would say as a very young child, when you just asked that question, something popped in my head. So I used to love to read mysteries, and I had a big oak tree in my backyard, and I would climb in that oak tree and I would just like read for hours. Or if there was a storm, I'd have my little flashlight when there was no power under the covers and like reading at night. I've always loved to read.
That is something out of the movie. I don't know. I have like a Peter Pan moment, when they were like flying, climbing on the tree. Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So, did your reading preferences change over the years? I know you love mysteries. Do you
Yes.
still read mysteries, or do you read some other genres now?
I have expanded it. I like a variety, but right now I'm reading Krista Hanna. and and I just love her books. Right now I'm
Yes.
reading Your Garden. I would highly recommend it. She just,
I
you just like become part of the story and you can just visualize so much.
But was there ever a time when you stopped reading? Life got so busy or something happened that you didn't read.
Yes,
Ever a
there's
time like that?
many years where I stopped reading. When I was busy working, I was raising my three kids and
Yeah.
their activities and running them to practice and games and just got caught up in the busyness. And so when I was able to come back to reading, it felt like such a privilege and it was just fun. So now I
Yes.
do so now I do like audiobooks if I'm driving, or I will actually have a hardcover like at home as well. So I like both.
I How do you do that? Well, when I drive and I try to listen to audiobook, I feel like it's very hard to comprehend what they're saying. Like I need to focus on driving and listening. I can't multitask, so
Yeah.
I applaud you. How does reading fits in your life now? Is it just you're reading late at night, or you're only listening to audiobooks? How does it look like now compared to, I don't know, let's say when you were a kid or a teenager?
I would say I actually have a little more time to read now, and so it's more intentional. When I was younger, in school, oftentimes they assign a book for you to read, and so
Mm-hmm.
I would read that plus like some of the ones that I wanted on my own. But now I can be intentional and follow authors that I love.
Well, that's fantastic. And what would you say to somebody who thinks they're not a reader? They think they're reading one book, but they don't count themselves as a reader. Is there any word of advice or, something you would tell them?
I would say because if I'm reading a book, like book after book, like, I'm not interested in these, so maybe I'm not a reader because they're not catching my attention. I think it's finding the right genre, and then if you can find an author that you really like, I think that would help you become a reader. Because I think everybody's a reader if they find a book that they like.
Yeah,
Because
that's what
my
I
oldest
say.
son, because he didn't think he liked to read, and then he found a book that he loved, and then he's like, oh, I guess I do like to read. And even when I was an elementary teacher, I had at conferences, parents would say, I don't know why all of a sudden my kid likes to read. I'm like, well, because we found some books that they're interested in. And sometimes it's nonfiction, sometimes it's books about World War II, or sometimes it's a genre that they haven't thought about. So as a teacher, I try to like open the world to a lot of different opportunities and possibilities.
That's fantastic. And I had similar story. My friend was like, all you do is read. Like, I don't read. I'm like, no, you haven't found a book that will captivate your soul.
Yes.
So she ended up really loving a fantasy genre. So now we read together all the time. And now she's like, oh, she reads like 70 books a year. And I was like, okay, see, and a year ago you were saying you're not a reader.
Yes.
It can change very fast. You just need to find
Absolutely. The right book. Okay.
All right, and I guess the final question, if you had to answer in one sentence, why do you read?
I love to read because it transports me to another world, and it takes me on a journey that otherwise I wouldn't have been part of.
Oh, that is so beautifully said. I mean that is the whole point of this organization is why do you read? And I think that was a great answer, especially for people who are just getting back into reading. Um, Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And anybody else who is watching, if you would like to participate in the Why We Read project, you can find all the information in the description. And if you want to learn more about Tammy and her book, all the information will be there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.